Everybody, this is Bo back in the lounge. Want to do a shout out to the 1.5 million listeners and those gentlemen and ladies stationed all over this country on military bases. Keep sending the text and email messages. And right now we get a chance to talk to the 2008 Coach of the Year in wrestling. He's none other than Heath Grimm from Upper Iowa University. Coach, congratulations.
I appreciate it, Bo. Always a pleasure to be on the show with you.
It seems like it's almost status quo for you to get Coach of the Year. You obviously are doing something right, correct, and awesome in your program because everybody keeps noting what an incredible star you are among wrestling coaches.
Well, I appreciate that. We don't dwell on that stuff too much. I try to look at those things as it's definitely a composite, work with the guys performing on the mat and also the guys helping us as a staff around me. So it's definitely a group effort. Anything you do well in life is usually a result of some people around you.
Absolutely, Coach. But the fact is that, most programs always look at size, whether it's basketball, football, or baseball. Even volleyball have size. It's not a matter in wrestling of size, but it's a matter of heart. And from the athletes you've been turning out, from academic All-Americans to All-Americans to finishing in the big tournaments, you obviously are doing something very incredible in your program. You get a chance to compete some of the biggest schools in the country, the biggest opens in the country, and then you get to go down to Fort Lauderdale during hurricane season and share ideas at different times throughout the last couple years. So, we're going to ask that question. What is the magic at Upper Iowa? There's a lot going on, a lot of news spread out. So we're going to cut to the chase and find out what is the magic you have in your program.
Oh, boy. Well, it's people, but it's getting the right fit. It's getting the right kids to be at this place. Just to let you know, we're not satisfied. We haven't won a national title. We've been runner-ups in '02, and we've been in that top 10 quite a bit, but we don't have all the answers. There's a lot of people I look up to who I think's, way ahead of our curve. So we're trying to get there. Secrets, there's no real secrets, especially with wrestling. It's hard work. Staying consistent with your approach and feeling good about what is looking back at you in the mirror. And Upper Iowa's kind of unique. We're in a rural setting, very small. We're Division II. We're talking about wrestling schools like St. Cloud States and Mankato States and Omaha's and Central Oklahoma's that are, got 15,000 kids on campus. We're sitting here at 903 on campus, my friend. So 903, some people might, initially go, wow, that's a negative. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. We're kind of the little engine that shouldn't type mentality.
I think it comes down to heart, Coach.
Take pride we take pride in it. And you mentioned heart. There's no doubt every one of these kids want to see it. See us succeed, and they can really get vested in the program, and a lot of loyalty goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with the style of coach that you are. Over the last couple of years, we've had a chance to talk numerous times, and sharing your ideas. You're well connected out there with these other coaches in other areas. It is such a small community of successful, head coaches out there that can bring so much to the athlete when they step on campus. When you say small campus, there's a lot of kids who would say, well, it's kind of small, but we know in football that some of the smaller schools who are much smaller than the Michigans and Michigan States are losing a lot of the D1 football kids to smaller campuses, even to the D3s who offer academic money instead of athletic money for those kids to come to their programs. And it's because the kids want to have a level of college experience that sometimes you'd miss out on because it is such a drill in business. In wrestling, I always admit that I don't know everything about wrestling by far, so I default to you all, but I would assume that's the same reason why a lot of kids are opting out and coming to your program is they want that community feel.
No doubt. And I replace the word community with family. That's what we do here. And, we have our awards dinner at the end of the year. We have a bunch of guys from the 1960s and 70s that come back to it, and now it's not just only the area and the group of kids you go to school with, but now it's become a fraternity and a family amongst anybody that's graduated and been an Upper Iowa wrestler. So definitely family is huge. these kids all pull for one another. Most of our kids are from Iowa. You know, we got a few from Illinois, a few from Minnesota. You know, we got some kids from New York. You know, a kid from California. You know, Alabama. But the majority comes from here, and they take those kids that are outside the Midwest in as a family, and the other ones accept the other ones as well too. So it's definitely family, my friend. Family's a big thing.
Absolutely, Coach. I'll stand corrected. Call it the family now. I'm on it. Now, Coach, over the last several years, you've had a lot of guys step forward, and sometimes early as freshmen, who have that leadership capability on the mat or in the locker room. In football, it's usually on the field, but in wrestling, it usually winds up being in the locker room, at practices, over the summer, and any type of special workout. They're the guys that are sort of bringing everybody together and keep focused. Now, who are those guys that are sort of in the early stages really defining themselves as leaders or assistant coaches on the mats for you?
Yeah, well, we got a good crop of seniors this year. I mean, and those guys have been through it, and we say anybody that's gone through college wrestling and used their 4 years of eligibility up, they're part of a fraternity, a special group of guys. And so really, you know, you do try to look towards those upperclassmen that have, you know, can lead a little bit off the mat and lead the kids the right way through the classroom or through campus or socially. But definitely the practice room, you know, you want those guys setting the curve as far as effort goes and what to expect. And really, we start tonight. Tonight is our first organized wrestling workout. You know, preseason-wise, we get 8 hours of accountable related activity, and so we're excited. I already had a senior in my office. I got another one in there right now, and actually, we've had 3 seniors in the office already, and you know, one of them was asking me about the format of it, and you know, we're going to let those guys kind of run the show here for a little bit, and then our first official practice starts October 10th. So, you know, that's what you want, those seniors to be leaders by the time they're seniors. That's for sure.
Now, Coach, there's been a lot said in the offseason. We had a lot of opportunities to talk to a lot of guys that went out to Fort Lauderdale and talked about some of the changes. And one of the big changes they're talking about is possibly moving the big tournament around to not compete with the basketball tournament for the NCAA. My feeling on it is if I get an opportunity to focus just on wrestling and not flip back and watch basketball, or I get confused on which tournament's going on. And I'll be honest with you, you know, I used to do the square peg holes, used to put money into a pool for just fun and pick out my basketball teams. But over the years, it's been very hard for me to keep track of it, let alone about the March Madness for wrestling that kicks in. And there's a lot of us out there that would probably follow it a little bit better, but you know, we're kind of the fans. How do you feel about that big change they're talking about at Fort Lauderdale this past?
Yeah, I think I'm fully behind it. My kids the guys are fully behind it. They did a survey at the National Dual Meet Championships last year in Cedar Falls, and I think we need to, you know, not only move that championship, but also to shorten the competitive season down to one semester. You know, football and program and sports like that, they're a one semester sport. Wrestling is quite the grind.
No kidding.
I definitely like that idea. I think Jay Robinson up at Minnesota was probably the biggest proponent and the guy that kind of got that concept going. He's, you know, an innovator that all of us, you know, coaches kind of look up to as far as, you know, thinking outside the box and coming up with ways to not only make things better for his athletes, but make them better for everyone's athletes.
Well, I think we're seeing the growth in the movement for wrestling in a positive direction. They've got a lot of D2 programs that are now adding clubs level, and then they're going to convert that to varsity level, full scholarship sport. We know that Oakland University just added, I think 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, a club level wrestling program, and those are starting to pop up more and more. However, at the D1 level, we're not seeing that. Actually, we're seeing coaches really kicking and, you know, grinding it out to make sure their programs stay intact. But it does seem like there's a movement out there for wrestling, and I'm not sure if you're seeing it as a coach at your level or, you know, the framework, but we're definitely seeing some movements in wrestling.
Yeah, no doubt. You could look up at the NWCA office and talk to Mike Moyer, but Division II is actually the level that's growing the fastest, and I think that's got the brightest future. You know, Division I and Division III numbers have declined. Division II is really starting to benefit from the NEIA programs. That's where a lot of programs get started, and then they decide that they want to become part of the NCAA, and Division II just seems to be a nice natural transition for those NAIA schools due to, they're already giving out some scholarship money. Some of the rules are the same. But, yeah, we're seeing growth, and it's exciting. I'm glad to be part of it, and we just want to make sure that we're one of the top, programs year in, year out. So when these new programs come in, too, they can always know who we are.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. Awesome. Heath Grimm from Upper Iowa University. He's got kids lining up right now, getting movements. We do appreciate the time he has with us. Coach, we'll give you a call another month. Is that all right?
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Bo.
Thank you. One moment.